Welcome to the I'm Not a Hater podcast featuring your favorite not hater, Mr. Brown. Once again on another episode. I told y'all I'll be back. I keep them coming and I'm gonna keep my promise to y'all. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So this episode in turn is about what I've actually learned over the past year on podcasting, right? So it's been almost a year since it started. And if you've been here that long or been watching the clips or whatever it is that long, you remember that this started out as a joke. Um, and I was doing tech work, and I just kind of hopped on and simulated what podcasts would look like or feel like. And it started out as that, right? It wasn't something serious or whatever the case was, but the more I posted the clips, the more people said like, oh, you should do it. You should do a podcast, you should do it on your terms, etc., etc. And then I started, right? So when I first started out, I was just gonna put the content out on my own terms. I wasn't going to pay attention to any numbers or subscribers or followers or likes or things like that, right? I would just put the content out and whatever happens, happens. That's what I thought in my mind. But obviously, I was wrong, right? Because eventually, you don't have a choice, right? You're going to pay attention to how many people like what you're saying, or how many people follow what you're saying, or how many people subscribe to what you're doing, because that becomes the basis of how you tailor your content towards those specific people. And you could say you don't pay attention to numbers, but you be lying to yourself, right? And that's what I was doing. I was lying to myself, like, if they like it, they like it. I'm no big deal. I'm not worried about it. But secretly, I was worried about it because I wanted people to like it. I wanted people to share it, drive home the fact that I'm making this content, my own way, doing things, slightly different outside of my character, right? Because normally, the type of person that I am, I wouldn't be doing this. Face to face, you give me a microphone, it's kind of different. I can write out my thoughts and put it down and record it. Different person behind this mic than the person that you see outside and in the public, right? Two different people. But a lot of people agreed with what I was saying, and so that allowed me to keep it going. But to not say that I didn't pay attention to the numbers and the followers and stuff after a year, I'd say I'd be lying, because it actually drives your hunger to put out the content. Like I said, I only have a few YouTube subscribers, maybe like 14 or 15 to be exact. Couple, I get like maybe 2 to maybe 5 likes depending on the topic on Instagram. Got a strong following on Facebook, but that's due to the number of friends that I have currently. So what I've also realized over the past year is that the clips, the short little shorts, YouTube shorts or clips that I make, um, those get better views than the actual full episodes. And I realized it's because of the attention span of people. People would rather watch a 1 minute clip than to have to watch a 10 to 15 minute video on a particular topic any day. And you got to realize that, like, it comes with the territory. You can't get mad or get upset about it. You would love for your longer videos to have views, but if 400 to 500 people view your shorts or your clips or whatever on the respective sites, you can live with that. You want it to be, of course, then next you're gonna want it to be 4 to 5,000, et cetera, the numbers to always be growing. But you realize that people will watch a 1 minute clip, so you take the good parts of the particular episode out, and you try to make the best clips that you can possible. Now, I've recently started using Oculus Clips, and they kind of help filter out what's good and what's not, and then putting them out, and the views have gone up. But it everything is like a learning process. That's the number one thing that I've learned. Like, you constantly learning how to do this daily. There's no set way to do it. There's no right way to do it or wrong way to do it. It's just how you do it, and you do it the best way that you know how, to be honest. But there was some crazy parts over this past year, right? And I had to learn, like, I had to unplug at certain points from content creation. It was taking over. I was wanting to do everything, try to do it at work, try to do just regular content creation when it came to family. And I found myself, like, outside the podcast, like, doing recordings like 2 to 3 times a week, and it was driving me crazy. Um, and like I said, I had to eventually lower it to 1 time per week. So that meant like all those issue episodes that y'all saw, then I turn around and do a long form episode, what I call long form episode, where I talk about a specific topic. Y'all was all getting that within 1 week time span. So I do one on Sunday, then I do one on Wednesday, but they were recorded within that same week. So 2 to 3 times a week I'm recording. Um, and ultimately I felt like the ideas weren't fresh anymore. I felt like I was giving away too many episodes. In the fear of losing the crowd and the subscribers and things that I gained. But ultimately, what I've also learned is that if it's good enough content, right, people will wait for it, right? I'm learning that. It's not, it's not perfect. It's not easy to do, but you try to filter it out because you don't want to be the person that posts too much and get too little response, but you don't want to be the person that doesn't post that often and get, you want to be consistent with it, but you don't want to be over. Like, it's a whole um a mind game with it, and you have to, like, figure it out, because you don't want to be like you spamming people, but then you got to realize, like, well, if nobody sees it, then okay, are you really doing it? Are you really posting? So you gotta, like, have your creator brain on at all times, and it was taking over everything. I had creator brain on 24/7. I was, writing episodes and coming up with ideas and recording the episodes and then coming back and putting them out, and then doing all that stuff, which it was cool. Like, it was a great space to be in, and it gave me something extra to do when times got low and I didn't have much to do. It gave me something to do, but it was just like, I am driving myself nuts trying to figure out what's going to happen next. What kind of episodes am I going to give them next? And then that's when I started jumping into doing music and interviewing people, and trying to keep up with all these ideas. And ultimately I had to take a time out. So I was kind of glad, like, when my work schedule did increase, because it gave me a chance to kind of just, sit back and look at what I had done so far, watch some old episodes, kind of critique myself, kind of figure out, like, what was good, what was bad, come up with more ideas and stuff like that. But at one point, like, to be, honest, as I always say, um, I was gonna stop. Um, because I had done, in my head, I had done so much in a short time span, when truthfully I hadn't done that much at all. I felt like I had did so much that I was just gonna stop. And then I had, like, this fear moment, like, this ain't big. Like, ain't nobody paying attention to little old me doing this podcast. You all that self-doubt that you have, right? And it happens because you're gonna doubt yourself. You like, I got 12 subscribers on YouTube. I got, I'm only getting like one like on Instagram, like Facebook, okay, they come through, but yeah, those people know me. So this is just regurgitation of, me being what they always thought I was, some type of smart person. uh, so you don't take it serious, right? So you stop doing it. And like I said, I stopped because of my work schedule, and feeling like I was giving away too many ideas. I felt like, I could just chill out. Like, that, I'm not a hater thing. It caught on. People laughed with it. We kiki, we ha, and it's good now. I'm done. But then I started seeing people in public, family members, friends, um, people messaging me like, "Yo, when's the pod coming back? When the podcast coming back?" And it's like, yo, I didn't even know y'all was really paying attention. Like, I dropped these clips, and okay, y'all like it, and okay, cool. I'm glad you like it. But again, not taking it as serious as it should be. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. Oh, whatever. I'll get to it when I get to it. But to have people, like, really looking forward to it coming back, and giving your viewpoints and stuff like that, that was pretty cool. And that gave me, like, the courage to kind of get over myself and get over that doubt, and kind of come back and do these episodes like I've been doing them. So thanks to everybody who said a word, even if it was short, or even if you just don't stop, don't let this Don't let any setback stop you from anything. Just keep going. Like that, all that was appreciated because I I didn't see it. Um, so I appreciate y'all for that. So like, what's next? So I'm going to continue to do episodes. Like I said, one per week. So I'm gonna include everything in it. So it's going to be, you know, unless it's like an interviewing somebody, but you're gonna get your politics all wrapped in there. You're gonna get my take on some type of topic. I've been giving y'all positive words of encouragement because I do feel like that is necessary in today's times, to give people, positive words that they can live by and affirmations, and not just for y'all, but for myself too. Um, and I'm gonna try to get some more interviews with people doing their thing in the world, and in these communities. And like I said, I'll keep the politics there because I see that people actually agreed with some of the takes that I had regarding the election and Donald Trump and Kamala at the time. So that's it. I'm gonna keep not being a hater, right? Because truthfully, giving y'all all this information, if I was really a hater, I'd keep it to myself. But I want to see people, be better than me. Mainly the kids. So if you have kids, like, you could play this podcast. It's not anything derogatory or talking about anything crazy. I'm just talking about some of the stuff that we go through, um, on a daily basis: mental health, transparency, school, working in the school, how that looks, music, the changing in music and stuff like that. So, I'm open to talking about it all. Probably still won't jump into that relationship thing. I just don't see a good space with it. It just looks bad. And then, you get all these memes and things on Facebook daily too. So it's just, just something I'm gonna stay away from. But I'm not a hater about it. So if that's your thing, like, do your thing. I just don't be caring though. But with all that being said, I'm not gonna be here for a long time, just for a good time. Peace and love, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.